9.3 Nigeria Info, and this is the morning Crossfire. We told you we're going into the prisons today. We were not joking, but we brought the prisons to you on radio. So today, if you want to find out what happens behind those prison walls, you really want to have an understanding of what's going on there. That's going to be our show for the next 1 hour. Remember, every Friday we have a conversation in partnership with the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. We look at a story from fellows of the Female Reporters Leadership Program every Friday, and today we're taking a look at a story entitled let me see, the story is called Art Within the Walls, and it's a story done by Yinka Olatubosu of This Day newspaper, where she highlighted what goes on behind the prison walls and the kind of engagement going on for prisoners in Nigeria. For the next 1 hour, we'll be looking at this. We also have joining us officers from the prisons, of course, and this is live on YouTube. You can watch us now and also leave us your comments on WhatsApp 08095975805, also on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM with the hashtag Morning Crossfire. You're welcome to the show. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry. Thank you, Lagos. Thank you, Nigeria, for joining us. It promises to be an interesting conversation once again. Let's also say that prisons are established to serve as rehabilitation and reformatory institutions with the goal of reorienting and reforming inmates so that they could come out as useful members of the society. According to the Nigerian Prison Service, there are 73,314 inmates across the various prisons in the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory as of 16 September 2019. Now, of this figure, 22,854 are convicted inmates, while 50,460, which is about 69% of the inmates, are awaiting trial. Yeah, you heard me. Based on the data, 2% of the inmates awaiting trial are women. Prisons, with respect to the Cap 366 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 1990, are charged with, among other things, to identify the causes of antisocial behavior, to set in motion mechanisms for their treatment, as well as ensure the training of inmates for eventual reintegration into the society as normal law-abiding citizens on discharge. Is this what is obtainable from our prisons today? We'll get to that in a moment. Correctional rehabilitation programs provided to prisoners might be in the form of vocational or academic training, and this are seen, this are being experienced time and time again beyond the walls of the prisons. However, not much of correction and rehabilitation, but punishment and deprivation go on in Nigerian prisons, thereby hardening inmates as well as rendering them physically and psychologically, in some cases, damaged through its uncaring environment. This is partly due to the ill-conceived notion that prison inmates have no rights within the general population. This is according to the ICIR 2019 report. President Muhammadu Buhari signed the act amending the name of the Nigerian Prison Service, NPS, to Nigerian Correctional Service, NCS, into law in August 2019. So maybe we'll have correctional qualities of any prison back in our system. Maybe. Now, the Act, among other things, provides for the implementation of services that will identify the existence and causes of antisocial behaviors of inmates. The Act also intends to conduct risk and needs assessments aimed at developing appropriate correctional treatment methods for reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration. And yes, implementing the reformation processes and rehabilitation programs to enhance the reintegration of inmates back into society. So the show today is to look at prisons holistically, the correctional abilities and provisions of our prisons, and what the prisoners have been doing so far, based on this report, by one of our guests this morning on Art Within the Prison Walls. Gentlemen, welcome once again.
We have joining us Mr. Rotimi Oladoku, who's the Superintendent of Prisons, Lagos State Command. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us. Oh, scratch that mistake. My bad. We have, he's joining us shortly. Mr. Bidemi Oladipupo is the ED Anchor Heritage on an NGO focused on rehabilitation of prisoners. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Oladokun should join us shortly. He's somewhere close by. And the reason we're here is because Yinka Olatubosun DV story. She's with These Day newspaper. Yinka, good morning.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. And thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you
Now, you've been in the prisons. You went there. What was your experience when you went there? Was that your first time?
Oh, yes. It was the first time inside the walls. I've been outside a couple of times trying to get in, but I didn't understand that there's this certain kind of politics that comes with trying to report the prison situation. So it was when I started working on this story project that I discussed with a friend of mine who is an artist, and then she told me that she had plans to go to the prison. Then I tagged along. It was while I was working with her that I discovered that I could actually do my project story.
You said
from the
some
prison.
certain kind of politics.
Yes, there's a politics. You don't just walk in there and say, I want to do a story, and then the doors will be open straight to you. They will ask you so many questions, put a lot of roadblocks in the way, and then eventually you may not get to do your story. So
Do you
have
think
to
those
understand.
roadblocks are necessary? Remember, it's a prison. I
Right.
mean, people can't just
It's not
walk
so
in and out.
accessible like that. It's not.
Which should be. I mean, we shouldn't be. It shouldn't be accessible like that.
No, it shouldn't be. But then if you have a cogent reason to be there, like you're a journalist and they know that you're out to get your story, then you should be allowed to do your story.
What did you find out
So
in your
much.
story?
So much.
Which prisons did you go to, by the
The
way?
Nigerian Prison Service at Ikoyi.
Okay.
Tell us about your discoveries.
Okay, the first discovery was that I entered a place that was full of so many young people, and it broke my heart. I didn't care at that point whether they had done something terrible to be there. I cared about the future of the country, and it's something that is still painful. I saw too many Nigerian youths behind the walls for different reasons, for stealing, for rape. Some of them do not really like talking about what take them to the prison. Then you have
What
to
age
extract it.
range did you
Range,
see
of
there?
course, I saw quite a number of people between 21 and 35, 40.
Wow.
Then beyond that, you have a lot of people in their 50s there.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's emphasize that Lagos State has the highest number of prison inmates. The state recorded 7,396 prison inmates population as against a prison capacity of 3,927. That's about 2 times the required population in prison. This is closely followed by Rivers and Kano State. Rivers got 4,224 prisoners, and Kano State has 4,183 prisoners. All these prisons, the capacity is much more than the required 3,927. Now that you've been behind the walls, you've seen what goes on there, and you've done this report. I know you went there to look at the arts, but of
Yes.
course, it's more than the
Yes,
arts
it's
now.
Definitely more than that.
This population, I've also done a report, spoke to someone who was imprisoned, and the report we get from the prisons is the place is choked. You have too many people. There are no facilities for these people. They are not well fed. Did you find out if these things were true?
Definitely true. They didn't look like places that should be occupied by human beings. As a matter of fact, if I have a favorite dog, I can't keep a dog in the place where I saw human beings.
Wow.
It was dirty. It wasn't clean, and there were some places that were clean. So it's all right.
This is quite touchy, yeah.
Very, very touching. Very touching. So it's very emotional to find people who have not had their baths in several days, and you have to work with them. They have to sketch. You have to sit with them. There's a certain kind of smell that you perceive sitting with the inmates. I got used to that by the 3rd day, but the first day it wasn't pleasant at all. I couldn't eat. I was offered food, but I couldn't because of what I saw.
Mr. Ladipopo, you've been there as well, based on the work you do as a non-governmental organization. What have been your experience so far?
Well, if I were to talk about, I've been to the Kirikiri Medium and Kirikiri Maximum. I've been to the Ilorin Prison in Madala. I've been to Elisha and Ileife. really the services behind the prison walls may vary a little bit, because here in Lagos, the like it was earlier stated, the population is quite high. But like in the Kirikiri medium, presently there is a new facility being built, supposed to occupy some number of 700 inmates being done. And what we are in full alignment with is the fact that the federal government has been able to sign up this Nigerian Correctional Service Bill.
Right.
And really, the prison itself should be a correctional facility. And we are looking towards that coming out more, and so it will help those inmates better.
Is there any activity whatsoever before now? I mean, we're still waiting for that bill to be signed so that it becomes a law. Is there any correctional activity in our prisons?
Oh, yes, definitely. Like in the Kirikiri Medium, Kirikiri Maximum, there are people who attend the National Open University and get to graduate. They write their exams in there. The National Open University, sometimes in August, there was a graduation of the present university graduates at the maximum prison. So they write their exams and they graduate. There are also learnings, like in the Kirikiri medium, they create an avenue where they can learn. So like people come in from various walks of life, NGOs come in, so they produce shoes, they produce soap, they produce insecticides. What we went to produce with them, get them to train there, is how to produce paints. Right. And, they enrolled in it. We had large number interested. And what we do is that at the end of the day, we have this Teach and Beautify project we're doing across the prisons. So we get them to produce the paints, and they paint the prisons. So we're just about going to Ikoyi prisons next month. But we've done this in the 4 prisons I mentioned. So they are very encouraged, and they're doing it.
The president signed the Nigerian Correctional Service Bill into law. And one of the things this law highlights is that, interestingly, I like this part. It says that the law empowers the state control of prisons to reject additional prisoners where the prison in question is already filled to capacity. So we have a law, already this is passed. You've worked in the prisons you've gone to. So is it full to capacity? Did you see them reject prisoners when the rooms, I don't know, do they call them rooms? The cells are full?
Well, definitely it is filled to capacity. Like the Lagos State definitely is above the capacity, even like the report you mentioned.
About
the
double,
Rivers,
twice the capacity.
Kano, definitely. Yeah. But there are some other facilities that they are not up to their capacity. But we've not gotten to the point of rejecting prisoners.
So that means this law is being flouted.
Well, like I said, like in the Kirikiri medium, which has a high capacity, there's a new facility going on there being built for more inmates. This bill was just passed. So what we're trying to tend towards, my own belief, is that the correction starts with more exercise.
Let's talk about the correction. Yinka said she saw very young people, some of them who might have sentences up to 10 years, 15 years, depending on why they got in there. So if they will be there for 10, 15 years, we've also got reports of people who went to prison, who weren't hardened criminals, who just, did something that, of course, was against the law. And when they come back, they are worse than they went in there, because then they are mixed up with more hardened criminals. And, of course, they learn all the bad tricks. So let me start with you, Yinka. You've been there. So these young people who look fragile when they get in there, is there this correctional? In fact, I see that there is room for counseling in the prisons.
Yes.
There should be counseling. That means you should understand the prisoners. There should be counseling, rehabilitation, and reformation. That's the idea of a prison. Is that what we really have on ground?
I think there are structures to actually make that happen. And that's what the Arts in Prison project was also all about. So they have put programs. There are several programs that the Department of Psychological Services of the prison has put in place that can help to drive that. So I think there are quite a number of programs apart from arts that has been used for correction. And it's all the whole correction thing doesn't just come from the prison. Even the individual has to make the decision to change. So I see a lot. Even while I was there, I could see that the head of the psychological services, she was making effort to be like a mother to some of these inmates. But I could see that some of them are not just interested in changing. So it's really a mindset.
Now you can't force them.
Really hard. They are working
Let's
hard.
talk about your project. Why did you decide to go beyond behind the prison walls to go and look at? I mean, you titled it "Arts Behind the Walls,"
Yes.
the prison walls.
Yes.
Why?
I was interested first because of the fact that it's a woman that was leading the project. So that was the interest. That was the interest. I wanted to see how a woman will be able to work within the prison walls, work with different criminals, and she did fantastically well. She was able to engage with them, although there were security presence to ensure that we were not molested and all that. They had the tendency to do the normal thing that guys would do when they see attractive ladies, but it was interesting. We were able to do what we...
I read your
wanted to do.
report, and somewhere in there was this feeling I got that, going in there, you weren't sure what you were going to experience.
We didn't know because they were staring at us as we walked in. So I
Wow.
was reading their expression. I was trying to understand. We came in with material, so they didn't know what our mission was. So it was a case of mutual suspicion.
Right.
We were suspecting them, they were suspecting us.
Right.
When-
But you are used to this. I mean, you go there often, and
I'm
your
used to
job
it.
is fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Now, art is special because art is deep and very creative. And if you can get that creative juice in the person and you can fine tune it, then you've done a lot of rehabilitation.
Right.
About how many people, how many prisoners have you worked with over the years? And do you have any of them who are outside of the prison now still, making beautiful paintings?
Oh, definitely. I came in when to the studio with one painting of someone that has did something in the Kirikiri medium, and it's been wonderful. We've been able to train over 400 inmates over the 2 years of existence of Anchor Heritage NGO, and over time we ensure that even while we train them, we get them counseled. We go to the Kirikiri medium, Kirikiri maximum, Tuesday every week.
Every week?
Yes, Tuesday every week to counsel them. And, part of what we do is legal aid. We give them legal aid. So the other time you were talking about people that have spent 10 to 15 years in
Yeah.
their young people. Now, what is so disheartening about it is that this 10 years you're talking about, they may actually not be convicted.
They might just be
They may
awaiting.
just be awaiting trial for that 10 years. They are not yet.
69% of them.
They are not yet.
Are still awaiting trial.
Like the report says, 69% are awaiting trial. So we give them legal aid because it's not enough to go and train them and just
when they
leave
shouldn't
them
even be there in the first
in
place.
there. Yes. And there are many stories that touch the heart. As like I always say, not all criminals, not all inmates are criminals.
Absolutely.
But if they stay longer, they get criminally minded and they will affect the society. So we ensure that we give legal aid for those that can afford it. But we do a background check on the family and be sure that, okay, they actually don't have the resources and the family is ready to have them back. There are some people you call their family and they will be like, oh, please, just
We're
leave
done
it
with this
there.
person. Oh, seriously. Wow. If your family should wash their hands off you, you must be really something.
Right.
But the point of going to the prison is that you then come out a better person.
Yes.
And that you're then useful to the society.
Yes.
However, the opposite is what we have. When people go to the prisons and they come back, they are worse than they went in there. Many of them are here, even look forward to going back to the prisons. I mean, commit another offense and get jailed again because they're then used to the life
Many of them.
life in the prison.
Many of them.
Let's
really.
go on a very quick break. Mr. Rotimi Oladokun, Superintendent of Prisons Lagos State Command, is on his way here. We hope he makes it before the end of this show because we have a lot of questions for him. He's in charge of the prisons, but Yinka has done a fabulous report for this day newspaper, Art Within the Prison Walls. And we also have Mr. Bidemi Oladipupo, ED Anchor Heritage, which is an NGO focused on rehabilitation of prisoners. When we come back from this very short break, we'll be taking your calls and comments. Also, remember that you can drop your messages on WhatsApp. The number is 08095975805. Again, 0807. 080, help me.
0809
95.
597 5805.
You got it. We're also on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. We're live on YouTube where you can watch us right now and also leave us your comments right there. We'll be back shortly. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry.
From your number one talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Yes, we're back. This conversation today makes me think, as in makes me really think. We're looking at art behind, within the prison walls. That's the report done by Yinka Olatunbosun, a journalist with this day newspaper. And we're looking beyond this to look at life behind the prison walls and how people live right there. The report we've mentioned to you shows that of a population of 7,300, okay, Lagos has the highest number of prison inmates with 7,369 against the recommended capacity of 3,928. Rivers and Kano State also come behind Lagos with 4,424 and 4,183 prison inmates. We also gave you statistics that show that about 69% of those behind the prison walls are actually awaiting trial. Pretty sad. I mean, they've not even gone to the court. They've not been sentenced. But some of them have been there for some 10 years or more. Very unfortunate. We hope to be joined before the end of the show. We hope it makes it in time by Mr. Bidemi Oladipupo, or rather, scratch that, Mr. Rotimi Oladokun, who's the Superintendent of Prisons, Lagos State Command. But we have Mr. Bidemi Oladipupo here with us. He's the ED of Anchor Heritage, which is an NGO focused on rehabilitation of prisoners. And of course, Yinka Olatunbosun is here. She's a journalist with This Day newspaper, and we're taking a look at his story. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. You're welcome back.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. Yinka, let me start with you. So you were part of this journey into the prisons, and I would really love to know how many of the inmates took part in this exhibition.
About 100 of them.
Oh, wow. 100?
Yes.
All women?
No, they were all males.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So how do you assess the impact this had? I mean, you spent some days with them. Do you think it will be enough to learn the art and to be able to replicate it afterwards?
First, I think what we were able to do was to rejig their interest in the art. Some of them were actually sketching before we got there. Some were into sculptures. And we discovered that there were actually some that sold art for a living. But because they're behind the walls, they have almost forgotten all about their past life. But we were able to rejig that interest. And they promised that they will continue because we left them with materials that they could use to do their arts.
What's the possibility? Could they make the art and then sell them while they're in prison?
If they sell, I think the money will go to the prison.
Oh.
I think so.
There isn't a a possibility of saving up the money they make for them.
This is the part where Mr. Oladokun would have been very
5,000 naira with you in the prison.
in the
You shouldn't
prison.
have more than
Yes,
5,000.
you can't
5,000
have more
naira.
than 5,000
What
naira.
can you actually buy when you're in prison?
You can buy snacks, you can buy food, because they usually complain that the food that's given to them by the prison authorities are not so delicious. I tasted, it wasn't so bad, but there were a few stones in the rice.
That's bad enough. That is bad enough. I've heard about other meals also that would totally ruin your appetite just listening.
Are those things real, by the way, Yinka?
Watery soups, no meat.
I didn't see them, but I heard from those that were there that they are terrible, that the food.
Mr.
Oladokun,
Oladokun would know.
Mr. Oladokun, welfare, food, how is it like in the prisons?
Well, the reports we have is that is not palatable, and most times they have to buy. You understand?
Buy food.
Yes.
They have to buy probably snacks, and the food is not that. That's what the inmates tell us. The food is not so good for them to eat. So, and it's not like it's a meal that is okay for the system.
Oh,
They
dear.
just have to make do with life, with whatever they are being fed with.
You're here with an artwork done by one of the inmates that you've been able to work with. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll be able to see that artwork
Wow.
right now. Very beautiful. That's an apple, right?
Yeah, someone holding an apple.
Holding an apple.
Hands holding an apple. Really beautiful.
Did you manage to speak with the artist, and what did he tell you this means, really?
Okay, so the artist made me understand that the hands represents Anchor heritage,
Okay.
and the apple he puts on it represents the inmates that we are trying to carry.
Oh.
So that's why
wow.
below there he puts Anchor heritage.
Wow.
So he gave
This
this to
is
us as a
beautiful.
souvenir.
Wow.
This
Wow,
is beautiful.
This is beautiful.
This is really beautiful.
Then I asked you earlier on, before we went on the break, if you had any of those inmates who are now outside of the prisons and who are practicing art, who are painting, who are, making meaning with their lives with art.
Well, not every one of them is still in the arts field, except for this one that I just brought up the drawing.
Right.
But out of the 56 inmates that we've been able to release through our legal aid program, we have some that we are actually on follow-up with. And one of them is this. One of them is this OGD food guy. He's
Okay.
from prison, but he started going to the north. He's a beneficiary of our aftercare initiative.
Oh, fantastic.
We have another one that now does painting. He paints buildings, churches from the
Wow.
painting. Now, when I
Training
talk
he
about
had.
paint training, I'm not talking about like fine arts painting.
Mm.
I'm talking about the act of making the paints for painting
okay.
houses.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
All right.
they make the paint.
Yes,
Right.
we produce the paints in the prison there.
Oh, wow.
We produce, it's not for commercial purpose. So we produce there, and we use the paints to paint the Kirikiri prisons, to paint the prisons, so that
Wow.
at least the environment is quite.
Looks
Yes.
looks good.
I wish I brought some pictures of the before and
okay.
after
It's okay.
for you to see. So this is actually something else. So we have like 19 inmates that have left, and what I always try to tell the society is. It's not about, it's a mindset thing. Because a guy that walks around you and says he wants to start driving you really don't know about his history. You don't
Exactly.
know about his past. So we just have to come to a point where we will look off the fact that he is from the prison. Like my sister wanted a driver the other day and she said, Bidemi, please, don't give me one of those your Kirikiri people.
Wow.
And she ended up getting a driver that drove her to Kirikiri prisons on one of my visits. And apparently, he had been in Kirikiri.
And she didn't know.
And she didn't know.
I hope she didn't let him off after that.
So, Mr. Ladipo, that brings us to that point that we are right now, reintegration. It is very crucial. It's very important. A lot of people discriminate a lot as regards whether it is safe to have someone from the prisons, be part of your family, either by way of employment or back in as a family member. How do you think society is accepting these people back into their midst?
Well, like I said, thank God that now we are drifting towards the fact that the Nigerian Prison Service is now a Nigerian Correctional Service.
Is it?
Are we- are
Just
we-
by
are we-
name?
By name.
You mean the
and
name has changed?
The name has changed.
Uh-huh.
And players are also in there, like us, like Yinka Olatuboso. They're trying to get them corrected. Now, I want us to get something straight about the prisons. It's two ways. It's either they come out refined or they come out worse,
Right.
which is normal to life. But what I just feel is that in the society, we should just try and encourage them when they are back. The moment stigmatization continues, they will definitely want to go back to their criminal
crime.
gathering.
Right.
But if stigmatization doesn't continue and you try and encourage them and welcome them, and what we're trying to make sure if the society can also engage them when they are engaged and they are busy, then, with little or with time, they will be able to reintegrate back to the society.
Right.
And we don't know,
Maybe
with
we,
time,
we are
get
glad
better.
that he's able to join us. Nigeria, we have joining us right now Mr. Rotimi Oladeokun, who's the Superintendent of Prisons, Lagos State Command. Morning, sir.
Morning.
I see you in the drizzles. But he's here. He's the one who, quote unquote, manages the Lagos State command of the prisons, and he'll be able to answer a few questions before we head to the phones. We've had a lot of conversation about, number one, the capacity, the population in the prisons. Lagos State has the highest number of prison inmates, 7,396 inmates. That's the highest. That's almost double what the prisons can actually take. And with the new law signed by the president, it says here that the prisons can actually reject prisoners once the capacity has been achieved, once the prisons are full. Let's talk about the population. Is there anything in the pipeline to reduce the population in each, I keep wanting to say the
Cell.
room, but in each cell, so we have fewer people, and then maybe it will be easier to manage them.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me on your show.
Please speak to your mic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show. Let me start by the figure you quoted for today. Today's inmate population, the Lagos Command of the Nigerian Correctional Service, is hovering close to 9,000.
9,000.
9,000.
Wow.
But back to your question, there is, I like to put a caption that when administration of criminal justice, especially when respect to correctional service, we take inmate, a agency, either the police or whichever prosecuting or arresting agency arrest this suspect, they take them through the process of legal adjudication, then they end up in
In the
prison.
prisons.
So we are not it's not the correctional service that actually goes out to go looking for quote and unquote inmates or students or
Right.
customers,
Right.
but they are passed by a process.
Right.
So in Lagos Command, we've had series of engagement with key stakeholders in the administration of criminal justice, vis-a-vis that the Ministry of Justice, the judiciary, and also certain non-governmental organizations, and especially the NBA too, that provide pro bono legal service. So all this, there's no one particular initiative that we're trying to address, because what we have is we have a larger population of awaiting trial inmates. When I say awaiting trial inmates, I mean those that maybe their trial is still ongoing for one reason or the other, and they are yet to be convicted. That's where we have peculiarity, because that's where you have larger numbers of inmates. So a lot of engagement has been going. We have an engagement through our own legal units in the command. They go around, look at case auditing of inmates, what is actually causing the length and the delay. And some of the feedback, they pass it across to the judiciary, to the Ministry of Justice, because it's not the correctional service that is prosecuting his inmate.
Right.
You can only say, maybe for an example, an inmate has been on trial for a very long period, abnormally long period. We bring that, we red flag it, we inform the judiciary and the Ministry of Justice. And to be fair, they've been up and doing.
But if we have about 69% of prisoners or those in the prisons who
Awaiting trial.
await trial. I mean, something is still not working. That cycle isn't complete yet. It's either the wheel of justice is too slow, or when you pass this information up to them, they don't really look into it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this number that you've even told us is up to 9,000. And looking at this new law, the Nigerian Correctional Service Act, it states here specifically that the state control of prisoners can reject additional prisoners where the prison in question is already filled to capacity. Even Lagos, we have 9,000. I mean, that's bursting at the seams. That's over full. So are we rejecting prisoners right now?
Well, the process is being initiated, and let me try and give some of clarity to that law. I reckon that particular section in the new act is something of both a sword and shield. It states that once a prison is filled beyond capacity, the superintendent of the prison, I reckon him to the officer running the prison,
Right.
informs the controller of the state within a week, and the controller of the state informed the chief judge, the AG, the Administration of Criminal Justice Committee, and various stakeholders about the present situation. And they have 3 months within to fashion out initiative to reduce this population. That's why I said in Lagos, we've been fortunate because we have a good rapport with these various agencies. So some of the chief judge comes on regular visit to release inmates.
Right.
The past CJ actually passed a practice direction decriminalizing petty offenses. So we're trying to reduce the level of inmate actually coming into the facility. We have a plea bargain initiative with the Lagos State Ministry of Justice, where inmate pleads to lesser offense and maybe time served or time on detention they are released. Then we also have one of the innovation of the new act is the non-custodial measures, community service, parole, probation, restorative justice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, the good thing that Lagos State had been a little bit ahead. Some of these initiatives are in pilot phases. I know that for a fact that within the Ministry of Justice, they have a directorate for community service.
Oh, okay.
CJ, then they had certain courts that they are piloting restorative justice. So this initiative, I think it's helpful. And
Let's quickly talk about welfare because of time. We will need to go to the phone lines. Food, we've mentioned it on this show earlier. Healthcare, and some other abuses such as inmates sodomizing another, sexually harassing another, and maybe even assaulting one another. What is the prison's authorities' position on all of this? Let's start with the food and healthcare.
well, the food, inmates are fed 3 times daily, and provision is being made by the present administration of the Correctional Service. Thanks to our Controller General and the controller at state level, innovations and regular supervision is taken. The controller just went on a monthly inspection, and as a duty, he tastes and sample each of the inmates feeding.
And he was impressed.
Yes, very.
No,
very. I want to.
Are we sure he had the same food the other
From the
inmates
same
ate?
kitchen, and for that.
Wasn't that specially made just because it was coming that day?
No, and I want to tell you because that's what I'm just giving you information that even the controller, deputy controller general from the national headquarters was in a surprise inspection, and he also sampled their food. They don't give notice; they just badge in and they sample. So I'm also inviting your crew to actually take a visit to one of our. We don't refer to them as prisons now. We refer to them as
Correction
centers.
Custodian
So
centers.
I'm inviting you to come and see, because we have a lot of the truth is that we have a lot of partnership with, as I said, NGOs, religious bodies, private spirited individuals. So there's a lot of things in the mix. And regarding feeding, it's actually good.
You are telling us that the food is okay.
It is.
How about healthcare? Very quickly.
Healthcare. That I'm moving to healthcare. It's ironically, we just received new consignment of drugs from the national headquarters. That was yesterday. The Controller General made it part of his cardinal administrative drive. We get regular supplies of drugs across from the headquarters. And to be fair, we also have good synergy with our stakeholders at command level. We have NGOs that come, the partners. We have people from Nigerian Medical Association. We have doctors that want to just
Help out.
So all of these are in the mix. Last week I was with a group of coppers. They came in and they brought certain, as part of their CDS, they did certain status check, and they brought in everybody's pitching in. So there, at least in Lagos Command, we have a lot going on, and it's good. And even we have a referral hospital. Each custodial center has a clinic, and we have a referral hospital at the maximum security custodial center. So there are a lot of things that are improving.
Well, Yinka has been there. One of the things she said before you came in was that some of the inmates had not had their bath for days.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
Yinka?
Yes.
So what's going on? Isn't there water at the prisons? Why do they stay
if
days
it-
without taking their bath?
As I was in here, respectfully, I would disagree. They have their bath, some as much as 3-4 times a day.
In
They are-
all the prisons in
all
Lagos?
the prisons, there are more than 2-3 sources of water supply, and each of the cell blocks have dedicated toilet. Apart from that, we also have large common area where they have dedicated boreholes that are dug. So the issue of that they don't have their bath, I think it's.
I've
bit
interviewed
far-fetched.
someone who was in one of the prisons, and when he came back, unfortunately, he's even disabled. He can't see. So his friend had to go there with him voluntarily to stay with him in the prisons. The reports we got from them and from other people who have been to the prisons is that the spaces are so small, there are not enough bed spaces. Some even said he had to pay to get a bed to sleep under another person's bed. That's his own bed space. Some other persons have to sit for a long period. Some have to stand because there isn't enough room.
People are cramped.
Yes,
up
but
together.
you tell us that the conditions are okay.
Well, as I said, let me say this to address a concern you alluded to. In our custodial centers, we don't admit inmates on sentimental issues or moral issues. So when you alluded to the fact that someone that was in charge or does not have a valid warrant came to assist his friend that is physically challenged,
But that's what
categorically-
happened.
No, I want to explain something. The Nigerian Correctional Service, throughout the Federation, will not admit an inmate that does not have a warrant, admitting such inmate to the facility.
We have more conversations together because I did that report. It was what happened. And okay, we'll talk some more about that. But let's go to the phone lines. I'm
Right.
sure Nigerians have a
Right.
lot to contribute to the show. The phone lines have been buzzing. We would also take your comment on WhatsApp. The number is 08095975805. And if you want to join us right now, well, here are the numbers.
Call us on 0127770. Call us on 012770993, 012771993, 012772993, and 012773993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
You just have to take a peek from here and see the phone lines all gone
Right.
over. Remember, you can also join us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM, and we're streaming live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM Live. Just do a quick search and you can find us there.
Also recall that the first phone number as 012770993 is for female callers only, exclusively for female callers. So please, if you are a man or if you are a guy, don't call that line. Thank you. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
Yeah,
good
Ferdinand,
morning,
welcome to
Ferdinand.
the show.
Yeah, good morning, our guest and my marvelous sister who have done this job for finding.
Ferdinand, very quickly, go straight to the point, please.
Okay. I want to ask a question. In a nation where 69% are awaiting trial and are still in a prison custody, what happened to the criminal justice system and what happened to the lawyers who have to rush in and give these people justice other than being in or being out? Please, we need an answer. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right,
Good
Ferdinand.
question there. Let's go back to the lines again and see who's here. Hello, good
Let's
morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Morning. Good morning. Hello. Okay,
I
we
think
can't
we
hear
lost
you.
that
We have
person.
Mr. Shola on
Can
the
you hear
line.
me?
Hello,
Yes, we
Shola,
can.
good
All right.
morning.
You see, good morning, everybody in the studio.
Morning.
You see, one of the problems we have in this country is this, that people don't actually tell the truth. You see, I've been one of the inmates in the Tampers. I just had a little problem. I found myself on that plane. I spent a week right from the gate of that Ikoyi down to each of the welcome cell, the E-World. The people there are over 1,000. I mean, over 10,000 people there. Coming to the food aspect, they always give a bag of bagari, and the inmate will tell you, boss, don't eat this gari if you want to go home with cancer. So for him
Cancer
to be
from
telling,
gari?
yes, because they said they always mixes a lot of things. So for him to say the food there, they give them food 3 times a meal, I mean a day, is not the truth.
You said you have been in the prisons before?
Yes.
For how long were you there?
Just 1 week I spent there. It's just like, 10 years.
Wow.
A lot of things start. When the NGO comes in with items to give to the inmate, right from the gate there, you see all these water collected and sharing it into their offices.
Which of the prisons were you in?
Ikoyi.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. We have Olumuyiwa on the line from Ajah. Good morning.
Good morning, Olumuyiwa.
Yeah, I just have 2 things to say. One, if the man that said they are eating, they are baking fantastically is true, why is it that most of the people that I've seen that come back from prison, they are not looking like human beings? That is one. 2, now, why is it that, let me tell you something, that was during the time of environmental, during Obasanjo time, a pregnant woman was just roaming around the tree. She never knew that there's environmental, and they picked her up. From that place, she landed in prison. Why is it that people that have small problems, they are in the prison? Why? And ask that man, why?
Oh, wow.
That man you refer to is Mr. Rotimi Oladoku. He's got a name, but thank you very much. Hello? Okay, you might want to try again. We can't hear you if you're there. Questions again about, because people go to the prisons and they're back, and the reports we hear from them is different from what you tell us. You are in the prisons, you're the superintendent, but what we hear is pretty different.
Is it possible that you might not be aware that the food that eventually get to the prisoners and the ones that you
maybe
know,
maybe what was in the kitchen, maybe something changed before it got to the cells?
Is that a possibility?
As I said earlier, inmates are fed 3 times a day. In that, even with respect to that, we also have partnership with non-governmental organization, individuals that come to, that also partner with the prison. So feeding is not a problem. Yes, it can subsequently, as the new act provided for the review, periodically it can be reviewed. But the mere fact that, yes, I said earlier, congestion is public knowledge. But be that as it may, the correctional service is partnering, as you alluded, Section 12 of the new act. We need to bring down the numbers of awaiting trial.
Right.
And the command is interacting with critical stakeholders that can reduce this number. As I said earlier on, it's not the correctional service that go out arresting.
That's right.
People.
That's
But
right.
you can reject prisoners once the prisons are full.
That's why I said that it's a system. After the controller informs these critical stakeholders, within 3 months, they have to take measures to reduce that number.
But it's just been a month after it was passed into law. So
let's speak with Deji. He's been on the line for a while. Deji, thank you for holding the line.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'll be quick. 2 things that I want to say. The first is the fact that the moment the NCS officer came in, I was excited to say, when he said that the number 7,000 is not even accurate, that it's 9,000. I thought to myself, okay, we have a government official here who will be, who is not being defensive to the situation at the prison services. Only for you to now say now that the food is fantastic. You've not stated the disadvantage that the overpopulation is causing to you guys. And I think when you come out to, a platform like this and you're being overly diplomatic, you are withholding the opportunity to have individuals like us, regular Nigerians, to speak on your behalf, to add to the noise, to say you're probably having funding issues, population issues, you're facing problems that ordinary human resource available to you cannot solve. But if you come here and you're being overly diplomatic, we have 2 people in the studio right now who have stated by experience that a lot of things are not going well in prisons, but you're not pointing out. The food is not fantastic. I know that for sure. That's number one. The second thing I wanted to say was before you came in, and that's the fact that we need to find a way to help the stigmatization. Because if you keep stigmatizing prisoners when they come out, what happens is they don't listen. criminals don't stigmatize against each other, meaning that if they come out to the open and people are, he can't get a job because he's an ex-convict and all that, they will go back to become criminals.
Right.
So those are the two things I want to say.
Thank you very
for
much.
Reaching
Thank
out.
you.
Let me quickly come to you before we go back to our guest because of time, and we need to touch on this because it's vital. Definitely, there are challenges, confronting the Nigerian Correctional Services, and I'm thinking, would you subscribe to private sector engagement in building prisons to be manned by correctional service in partnership, so to speak? I mean, it's obtainable elsewhere in the world. Is that a way to go?
Well, regarding construction of correctional facility and custodial centers, that's a policy issue that I can't comment on. But time passed, we've had various state government that partners with the Nigerian Prison Service, as it then was, the Nigerian Correctional Service now, to build custodial centers in that regard. So, in regard private, I think that is maybe an initiative that the management at the national headquarters level will look into.
Right.
But we know we've had instances where the state government actually construct model prisons and
handed it over. Let's speak with Nelson. He's been holding the line for a while.
Hello,
Morning, Nelson.
Okay.
Go on, Nelson. Go on. We're listening.
Okay, I should go on.
Yes, please go ahead. Quickly, please.
Yeah, I just want to contribute to what you people are discussing this
Please go
morning.
ahead.
Yeah. The man in the studio, I don't know.
Which of the
him.
men? We have two men here.
I mean, what do you call it? The warder, whatever.
The superintendent. Go on. Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Oladoko of the prisons service. Okay.
That man is being economical to the truth. I listen to me.
We can hear you.
Nigeria, our problem, the challenge we faced most is one being of X. There is not anybody that give little post in Nigeria that has never told us the truth. This is a country. I am a victim.
You're a victim of what?
I am there at Ikoyi there. Complete 6 months.
Wow.
What that man is saying, there is not any truth in it.
Did you have
if
good
you want
food?
to speak to Nigeria, you should tell them the truth, tell them what is happening.
Were you fed 3 times a day?
Which 3 times? Who feeds you? It is because I did nothing. My people brought food every time to me. Friends and well-wishers.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. A promise we're going to make is that I'm going to visit personally, and then I'll come give you a report. I'm hoping I can try to taste that food and then tell you what it is. But we need to go now. We're really running out of time. Thank you so much, sir. It was pretty quite something getting here, but thank you for making it still. Mr. Rotimi Oladoko is the Superintendent of Prisons, Lagos State Command. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Yinka, you did a fantastic report. Yinka Olatunbosu is a journalist with This Day newspaper. Thank you. And also Mr. Bidemi Oladipupo is the ED Anchor Heritage, which is an NGO focusing on rehabilitation of prisoners. Great work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in. Nigeria, let's keep talking on social media at Nigeria Info FM. A big thanks to Tosia Kenride, Yvonne Ohafor, and Zainab Yakin for assisting. We'll be seeing you on Monday. Remember that Tuesday is October 1st. We have a package for you on the 1st of October. You should watch out for that. We'll tell you more about it over the weekend. But we'll be seeing you on Monday. I'm so happy to tell you that it's still Monday. But Tunji Andrews will be here with Money, Business and Economy just after the news at 9. I'm on social media at Wemimo Sport, and my name is Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. You can find me on all social media platforms at Sheriff Quadry. Do have yourself a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.